Okay. So what are the main parameters you need to look on when you're doing an overloading operation? So how can we achieve the overloading?
More than one function, one method with same name,
Okay.
but different type of arguments or number of arguments.
Different type or different number of arguments. Cool. And can we overload a constructor?
Yeah.
Okay. So can we override a constructor?
Constructor override.
No.
No. Class's name would be different, right?
Yeah, class name would be different, but what is overriding? Overriding is like from your parent, you're going to use that in your child.
We can do that with super keyword, right?
Yeah. So, but is it an overriding or is it a using of your parent class? So that does fall into overriding or it's not?
I think it's just using parent class constructor.
So overriding can happen only with your methods and not in case of your constructor. So constructor cannot do overriding. So you can just give a try with some examples and see whether you're able to override it in your child class or not. So basically overriding is like you're giving more than one parameter of different data type, right? So in your constructor, if you have a parameterized constructor, you can do that as an overloading and not as an overriding in terms of your parent and child relationship. So the constructor overriding is not possible, but overloading is possible in terms of constructor. So what is the difference between this keyword and super keyword, and when do we go for it?
This can be used for the same class actually.
For the same class in
Super
case of?
Whether we want to access any variable or method inside the same class, then we can go for this.
Yeah, to access the same variable name, we can just call the same variable name, right? But why explicitly this keyword has been introduced?
We can get the same name variable in the arguments as well as that.
Yeah, to avoid that
class.
ambiguity, we are using this keyword to avoid the confusion on your assignment. And can this keyword can be used only to your variables or can be used for your methods as well?
It can be used for variables, methods, and constructors.
Yeah, this keyword can be used for your variables, can methods, as well as for your object. If you're just giving this, that refers to the current object and not to the any other object. If your class has only one object, then you can just give this. That gives you the current object. So whenever you're trying to pass a parameterized constructor with more than 2 parameters, or you're trying to pass a complete object, you can just give this. That states that it is the current object in this class, and I'm going to pass that relevant objects in the method wherever I'm going to invoke it. So this can be used as a variable, as a method, as well as an object in place of your passing your data. And where does the super keyword come into picture?
Call the parent class variables and constructors.
Okay. So can super keyword happen only for your constructor or to the other variables and methods as well?
Variables and methods also.
Okay. So what is an array? Like, can it store heterogeneous data or homogeneous data?
Homogeneous data.
Okay. So say for example, I have an array of object class, the topmost class is object. And in the array, I'm passing student, object, employee, object, and teacher object. So will it accept or will it fail? So my object array, object class array, reference A equal to Within that, I'm passing new student, new teacher, and new employee. Is it a right way to declare, or will it give me any compile time error?
We need to specify the array length, right? Like array size actually.
Yeah, you can say my array size is 3. And in the array size, I'm giving one index with student, one index with teacher, and one index with employee. Will that give me an error, or will it work fine? You can try
I
it.
think it
and
will work
see.
fine.
It will work fine. Why so?
So all three are same parent class. So I can create a object reference with parent class name and assign it to child class, right? So that way
Okay,
it will
so
work.
this particular concept is called dash. Type reference.
Okay.
So whenever you are going to assign to a supermost class, to like basically my parent mother m equal to new child. So I'm assigning a child object to my parent, which is nothing but type reference. So all the child attributes will be used, as well as your parent will be your layer or will be your point of contact to invoke the relevant object. So this kind of upcasting, or this is called as a type reference, where you are creating an object to your child, but assigning it to your parent class. So the same way you can achieve that in your abstract classes as well as to your interfaces. Okay. So before going to that, can private methods be overloaded?
Private methods.
Yeah.
Yeah, can be overloaded.
Can final methods can be overloaded?
No.
Why?
1 minute. Final.
Final will be a constant. It is not changeable.
No, that is constant is the behavior of final keyword. But if you want to overload, say I have an add method with one parameter, and I'm going to have one more add method with final keyword, and I'm trying to overload it. Will it be possible?
Yeah, possible, right? Like one overload
Janaki,
depends
you can
only on
share
the
your
number of.
screen. You can share your screen.
Oh, 1 minute, still I'll do.
Can static methods be overloaded? Why silence? Is it a yes or no?
Yeah. I think yes. Yeah.
Okay. Just comment out the line number 25 and 26. Now outside the main method, create like after line number 34, create one method with some final method, and another one more final method. Is it a right way to create a method name, Janaki?
Yes, it's camel case.
Just give method, that should be fine. Okay. Give one parameter.
You want to give arguments?
Yeah, any
on
one
that?
argument, any data type you wish. And have the body for it. And now copy the same thing. Paste it again. And now, what is the criteria for overloading? You need to have, no. You need to have the same method name, but different parameters or different data type. So just change the data type. Instead of int, give some other, or you can add one more data type, one more parameter, your wish. Okay. So right now you're able to overload a method which is in final, right? Now within your main method, can you just call that method 1?
Yeah.
You have to create an object. Otherwise you will
Object.
not be able to create an object. So you're able to invoke both the methods, right? So you're not going to execute it, but you're still able to call them. So that is the thing. Now, instead of final, replace them with static. Now, can you, in the 35 line, just call string sample dot, or you can just call the same way. No issues. Since a static method, it's always better to call with class name dot method name instead of object. Just give string sample dot method 1 and method 1 with the other parameter. So you're able to overload the static methods as well. And the private methods, as you said, it can also be overloaded. Okay. So the private, static, and final methods can be overloaded. Is it possible to override them in case of inheritance?
Static we cannot override.
Why? Why? Just give an explanation so we can move on to the next. If not, I'll check again. We'll check again. Now, can you go to the class which you created yesterday? Abstract sample. Can you have that print non-abstract to static? No, let it be public. It's an inheritance, right? You need to have that access specified. Now go to your child class. Now here, replace that, remove that method, remove the complete line number 11 to 15, remove it. Remove line number 11 as well. And now if you see on the save this file. Okay. So are you getting any error here?
No.
No. Why? So you're not able to override that method, right? Give control space. And are you able to see print non-abstract method here?
No.
So what is the understanding here?
Static method cannot be overridden.
Okay. So this is nothing but runtime polymorphism. So here you can't override your static methods. Only overloading is possible in case of static methods. Though you give the similar signature and similar name with a static keyword, just copy the same method which you have in your parent class and paste it here.
Okay.
Go to abstract sample, copy that method and paste it in your child class and save it. So did it show you any error so far?
No.
This is not overridden method. It's an explicitly newly created method for your child class and not from your parent class. Now in your object, like in your actual place where you have created the object, right? for just remove the keyword in line number 3 abstract. Remove the line number 3 abstract. Yeah, remove that. Yeah, save this and have your main method here itself, or you can have it from outside. You already have an yeah. This is the place. Okay. Now here, which is your object? I think abstract driver class. You didn't create an object. Yeah, you create an object for abstract driver class. Control space. Create an object. Give control space. Don't type complete. And event dot. No, okay, that's a static method. Sorry. Just call abstract driver class dot abstract driver class dot. No, your class name is wrong. Just copy it from above. Yeah, driver class dot your print non-abstract. Yeah. Now, can you go to your parent class and have a sysout with a different line and as well as in child a different line? You already have it here, right? So now in your child class, can you just add some more content? Just give some text. Yeah, fine. Save it and now save this file. Execute your driver class. Yeah, fine, fine.
No, this is some other name, right? Actually.
No, you have the other file, just not yet saved. That is it. Proceed. So what happened? You create an object for your child class and that got executed, and from the child it has been called. So basically you're not overriding it. You're just creating one more method. Now can you go to your child class and add the annotation @ override. Go to your child class, abstract driver. Yeah, now copy the line number 5 @ override and paste it in the line number 11. Save it.
So that means
Yes.
like the non-abstract which is in parent, it is not executed. It is not called at all, right? Like
Yeah. So now what is the error you're getting? Can you over on the line number 12? The method of abstract must override or implement a super type method, right? Because in your parent class, that particular method is a concrete method. Now go to your abstract class. Yeah. And now remove that abstract keyword as of now. Just remove the keyword, save it. And remove the line number 8 as well. Just comment it out. Yeah, go to your child class now. And comment from line number, the complete method, line number 5 to 9. No, line number 5 as well. Okay. So now what is the error you're getting again? You have to use the super keyword or must override or implement a super type method. Though we have given the override method, that is not working in case of your static method. So now within that, in the after line number 12, can you give super dot print not abstract method? Use super. Super is a keyword. It should be small case. And give control space there. Super dot control space. So are you able to get any method here?
no.
Why are we not able to get any method? Because your static method cannot be overridden. That is the first thing. If you remove the keyword static here, as well as in your child class, if you remove your static, save it. Now give super space. You get the method. So the thing is, static methods cannot be overridden. So that is the concept I want you to understand here. So you can still have the same method, but that will not be considered as from your parent method overridden, because you're not using the override annotation. You're not writing or logic on top of your child class. You're still using it as a separate method with the same naming convention. So your static methods cannot be overridden. The next one, final methods can be overridden or not. Kiruba, Divya.
I think we cannot override a final.
So final methods can also not be overridden. You can just give a try by having a final method and see whether you're able to override as you did for similar static concept, and let me know if you're able to do that or not. And then the private methods can be overridden or not.
Private methods won't be visible to child class, right?
Private methods, I didn't get you.
Private methods won't be visible to child class, so it cannot be
Won't be
overridden.
visible to child class. So all those things cannot be overridden. Only overloading is possible for private, static, and final. Okay. So coming to your abstract class and interface, the method whichever you create as an abstract will not have a body definition. So wherever you extend that particular abstract class should have a body definition. So it is more of like an interface. So abstract class is a partial abstraction where you can achieve a partial abstraction, and in interface you can achieve a 100% abstraction. Why so? Because your interface has all your methods, variables by default as abstract. So you can use only private, static, and final keywords for your variables in an interface. And by default, all the methods whichever you declare in your interface. Can you open the interface which you created yesterday, Janaki? Interface sample, I guess. So in the interface sample, though you give the keyword abstract or without giving the keyword abstract, both the cases are considered as an abstract method in case of interface. Whereas in your abstract class, you have to explicitly use the keyword abstract. Only then it is considered as an abstract method, which doesn't have a body. It is just only a declaration. And if you want to have your concrete methods, like apart from abstract keyword, you can have your own methods in your abstract class and you can have your own logic. So when to go for abstract class and when to go for interfaces, when you have a similar code or a reusable code that should be used for all your child classes, only then you have to go for abstract class. If there is no common logic with your child and everything has its own independent business logic, then you need to go for interface. So this is the main difference between abstraction and interface. So these two concepts again come under the concept called polymorphism as well as your abstraction. Then next is your inheritance. So we have seen multiple types of inheritance. Can someone say quickly, like what are the types of inheritance we have experienced so far?
Multi-level,
Okay.
multiple inheritance is achieved through interface.
Single inheritance, multiple
Hierarchical
inheritance,
inheritance.
multi-level, hybrid,
Hierarchical.
So only thing is one inheritance is not possible, which is that inheritance, and that why we are going for interface. Are you clear on that?
Yes.
Okay.
That
So
is multiple inheritance. Right?
Yeah. So what is the topmost class in Java?
Object class.
Object class.
Okay. What is the topmost class for your exceptions? Exception handling.
Throwable.
Throwable. Okay. So can a system error like stack overflow or out of memory can be handled by us as a developer? Can we be able to handle them or not?
No. No, we cannot do.
So such kind of errors are fall into which category? Exceptions or error?
Error.
Error. So those errors cannot be handled. Only thing is you have to restart your system or a mission to make it your system working again. And then again, your exceptions are further classified into two types: checked exception and unchecked exception. Checked exceptions are something you can check it on your compile time and make sure that it doesn't create you an error. And unchecked exceptions are something happening on runtime. Few of the unchecked exceptions can be handled if, as a developer, if you take precautionary steps. If not, that will end up with an exception. So there are multiple type of runtime exceptions. You will experience, you would have experienced so far the number format, null pointer, but going forward, you'll experience more things like your file not found or class cast exception. When you're trying to convert from one particular class to another class, and if you see the class name, it is available in both packages. So example, now I have an integer class and have the integer class again, I have created explicitly my own custom class called integer. So when I'm trying to do a typecast between these two, there might be a class cast exception that will happen only on runtime and not on the compile time. And you'd also have seen the array index out of bound exception. So when you're giving more than the eligible value and trying to invoke that respective index and you're trying to print it out, and if the index is not defined earlier, you might have get a runtime exception called array index out of bound or index out of bound exceptions. So these all fall into your checked or unchecked.
Unchecked.
Unchecked exception. Cool. So next, the topmost class object has few methods. The toString, which is for used to represent in a readable format for the users. So that is the reason we go for toString. And the toString method can be overridden in all the child classes. The second one, hash code. What is the purpose of hash code?
It will print
To
the
get the
address of the
address.
object.
No, not exactly as an address. It is basically to get the integer value of the data. Okay. And why we have used as a memory address is we can't explicitly show you a memory address in runtime. That is the reason we have used the hash code as a memory address reference. We'll be seeing that shortly, how to check the memory addresses in Java system. But hash code is not purposefully for your memory address. It returns an integer value. Okay. And what is clone? What does a clone method does? When can we use clone method? Whenever you want to create an object or an object to similar one, you might use a clone method by using a clonable interface and overriding the clone method. So what happens if you use the clone method is your object will not be created again and again. The constructor will be invoked only once, but your object gets created and it will have a different memory address. So that is the purpose of clone. So there are three blocks you have learned: static block, instance block, and the constructor block. Which block gets executed first? Instance or static or your constructor?
Static.
Static will be your first. Then second?
Instance block.
Okay. And finally, the constructor comes into picture. Okay. So I'll be giving two rules. I want you to try it on that and then let me know whether you're able to figure out that or not. The first rule in case of your inheritance and exception handling. If your superclass is an overridden method, say example, in your superclass, you're having some method and you're overriding it in your child class. And if the superclass overridden method does not throw an exception, will the subclass be able to throw an exception or not? So I want you to try, like, so in your parent class, create one method and just give some kind of exception, throw some kind of exception. And in your child class, try to throw another kind of exception, which should be an unchecked exception. Either you can go with null pointer or you can go with number format. But in your parent class, you're just throwing a parent exception class. And in your child class, you're giving an unchecked exception. And see whether you're able to create an object and call the respective method, and is it working fine or not. So your parent class has to throw exception, and the parent class overridden method has to throw exception, and your child class should throw you an unchecked exception, and you have to invoke an object, create the method, create the object and invoke that method, and see whether you're able to access that method or you're getting a compile time error or a runtime error. Check that and let me know. This is first rule. The second rule, if the superclass method, the method which you have in your superclass or in your parent class, throws an exception, and the subclass method, which is overridden, is also throwing the same exception or a different exception. So earlier you tried with the number format. Now try by throwing the same exception class, which you have defined in your superclass method, and see by invoking it whether you're able to access or you're getting a compile time error. You got my clarity, or you want me to explain again? So basically, I want you to understand like how you learned the typecasting. So the narrowing and the widening concept. The same thing we are trying to experience in your subclass and superclass relationship through exception handling. So if my parent class is throwing me the topmost class runtime exception, and my child class is throwing null pointer exception, and then when I'm creating an object for child class and I'm calling, say example, add method, which is also present in my parent as well as in child, which is an overridden method. In that case, if I'm giving an arithmetic exception, which is happening on runtime, which type of object will it be able to create an object and throw that error, or will it end up with a compile time error? Is something I want you to experience that. So in your parent class method, give throws exception, and your child class give throws arithmetic exception for your add method. Create an object for your child class and then call the method add and see what is happening. And create an object for your parent class type reference equal to new child and call the method and see what is happening. Create an object for your parent class alone and call the method and see what is happening. So there are three criteria. So child C equal to new child, parent P equal to new child, parent P equal to new parent. You have to create three types of objects and call the same method add, which is an overridden method in each case. And in your parent class, it has to have throws exception, and your child class, it has to have throws a child exception, which is nothing but your arithmetic exception, and see what is happening. Got it? Or you have still questions? So how should I take this silence? Yes or no? Am I audible to everyone?
Last one, like little bit of confused.
No, I want you
Whatever
to
is
create
there.
one parent class and one child class, have one method, and in your parent class method, throw that method with throws exception. And your child class throws, instead of exception, give some other child exception name, either your null pointer exception or a number format exception or any kind of exceptions, which are mostly your unchecked exceptions. And now create an object for your parent, create an object for your child, and create an object in terms of type reference and invoke the method add and see what is happening. Are you getting compile time error or runtime error? You let me know that.
It's clear, Sneha.
Okay, so try this one. So if this is clear, then we should be good enough to handle the exceptions going forward in the collections as well. So if you have any clarifications on this, we'll see it again tomorrow when we start the collections part. And apart from that, are you clear on the operators and the loops part, which I haven't covered today? But are you clear on that? The loops, conditional loops, do, while, for, and switch cases, labels usage. Any questions in that? or any specific concept you have questions, or you want me to take it again on that? Okay, so if there's no questions, okay, so these are the concepts we have covered. So we have talked about the JVM architecture, and we have seen the data types and the basic syntax, keywords, literals, and the identifiers. What is the format we have to use for your class and methods, and the different data types and their ranges, and the default values of the data types. And then we have seen about our string class, and then the topmost class object and the relevant methods we can use, which can be overridden in your child classes. And we have covered the OOPS concept, and we have seen the abstract class and interface, and also the compile time polymorphism and the runtime polymorphism. Yeah, so these all things we have covered up, and we'll be experiencing more detailed way about these concepts using collections going forward. So it will be more of logical base, and also some algorithms will come into picture from tomorrow. So, and the arrays part, we haven't covered much detail. So those things also will be taken care from tomorrow parallelly when we start doing arrays and the respective collections one. So all the arrays, collections, and the string related things, everything will be covered together. And we have also seen the wrapper classes, and yeah, pretty much exception handling, basic idea of exception handling and the keywords part. And yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know, because from tomorrow it will be more into collections and algorithms. So only if you're strong enough on these things, we'll be able to work on the collections related use cases. Because if you're not clear on interface or abstract class, you'll not be able to understand the collections better. So make sure you understand these concepts, and any kind of questions, let me know. And from tomorrow, we'll be starting with collections. Parallelly, we'll be taking generics as well. So collections, generics, and OOPS concepts together will be coming up from the next class. So refresh all the concepts, and make sure like you're having at least 50% of what is what, so that tomorrow's classes will not be trouble when we start with the collections. And so how are we on the HackerRank? Like everyone started doing programs on that. Janaki, Yoga, Divya. Have you started working on the programs on that? Yoga?
Yeah, just started. So.
Just started in case, like how many programs have you completed?
That basic loop, those things only I completed actually. Like 2 part is there, only those things.
Okay. So I want you guys to be more regular on HackerRank. Please at least make one program as a practice every day. And I want you to be completing minimum 10 programs in the HackerRank by this weekend. And we can start looking into it from next week. So, and also the GitHub part, I'll be covering up starting from tomorrow. I'll be taking on the GitHub. So that I want you to write locally the program and update into the GitHub. So instead of executing in the HackerRank, if you find it difficulty, I want you to execute in your editors and upload into your GitHub. So tomorrow we'll see on the GitHub also. So I want you to download few things. I'll share a mail somewhere. Download those softwares, and we'll get synced up by tomorrow and create an account on GitHub, and we'll start working on collections. Because from tomorrow, I want you to be very regular on programming. If not, this would be very crucial for you to adapt to the latest concepts of everything of Java. Because I want to be very regular in programming, because I see Janaki, like whenever you're typing, I don't see that you haven't practiced that much. I see there's no practice in your coding. Because you're struggling to create, or you're taking some time to create. So I see like you're not practicing it. So unless you practice, you'll not be able to improve it.